Okay, let's continue. Here is another operation that you can do with strings, and that is the len. Len and then parentheses, and that is for the length. Okay, so if you want to get the length of a string, what you can simply do is put the string literal or the string name to the len. Okay, so len and then parentheses, and then if you have defined a string called fruit, and then we just plug in the fruit as a variable name to in the middle of the parentheses, and then we will get the length of the string. And then, well, for the length, it is defined as how many characters do we have. Okay, so for the characters, it doesn't necessarily have to be a letter. It can be a white space and a some other symbols, for example, as a plus sign or the underscore. They will also be considered as one character. So for the banana, it is really simple because we will have letters, and then we will get 6 because there are a total of 6 characters in the string banana. And then if we really want to see the 6, and then we have to print it out. Okay, so we are printing the length of the fruit. So the len will get the length of a string, and then after getting the length of a string, and then we want to use a print to print it out so that we can finally see the 6. And if we want to just plug in the string literal banana, that is also fine. And here's a short exercise. If we redefine the fruit to be cherry and then we want to print the length of the fruit, what are we going to get? We are going to get 6 again, because in the cherry there are a total of 6 characters. And how about this one? So I define a empty string. A string starts with a single quote and then immediately ends with a single quote. So there's nothing in the middle. And then what is the length? The length for the new fruit as an empty string will be 0. Okay, so an empty string will have the length to be a 0. And how about this one? So we have 3 strings: S as Python, T as space is, and then another space, and then R is hard. And then we want to do a S plus T plus R and plus a question mark. So is this program correct? And then if it is correct, what is the output? Do you think this program is correct? The answer is yes, because that is a string, so str, there are 3 strings, and then the question mark is also another string. So we are using plus sign as concatenations. We are concatenating Python is hard and then a question mark, right? So this syntax is perfectly fine with Python because plus sign between strings. Well, string plus another string, that is string concatenation, right? So we will have Python is hard and then eventually a question mark. Okay, the next thing, escape sequence. For the escape sequence, well, when I was a student and the first time I saw the name escape sequence, that's kind of confusing. What are we escaping from, right? So remember, for the escape sequence, that is a special set of the characters. And when Python sees that, and Python will escape from the normal behaviors when treating strings. Okay, well, and all the escape sequences start with a backslash. I mean a backslash, not a slash. Okay, so let's see what are some of the common escape sequences. Well, a backslash single quote will display as a single quote. A backslash double quote will display as a double quote, and then backslash will be printed as a single backslash, and then backslash n, that is for a line break, and backslash t, that is a horizontal tab. Okay, so why do we need that? Well, here is one of the reasons. So if you want to print 3 lines together, well, but I really want to squeeze all the content together into one line because it is not very long anyhow. And what I can do is, well, I define a string. So this is a line 1 and then dot and then a backslash n. This means, well, this is backslash n tells Python, when you see that, escape from the normal behavior of treating a string, because the normal behavior should be backslash n will be considered simply as part of this string, right? Backslash is one character, n is another character. So that's the normal way of treating that string. However, since it is a escape sequence, Python will escape from the normal behavior, and then Python will treat the backslash n as one character, and that character is line break. So we will see a line break here and then a line break here as well. So even though we use just one line and one print statement, we printed 3 lines of the content. Okay, well, here is another thing. If you want to define a string starting with a single quote, ending with another single quote, but inside there happen to be another single quote, what can you do? Well, remember here, backslash single quote will be displayed as a single quote. So what you can do is, okay, a single quote starts here, and then in the middle there is a backslash single quote, and that backslash single quote will be treated as one single quote. So I really want to try this one. Okay, so let me just grab this line of code and let me paste it in. Okay, and sometimes this is wrong. So this character is not allowed in PyCharm or Python. So this should be the code to go. Okay, sometimes when you copy the code into the PowerPoint and then paste it back again, and then the codes will be changed. Okay, so if I want to run this line of code, you see, there's no problem. So in PyCharm, PyCharm will treat that as a special character in the middle of a string. So PyCharm doesn't give me any warning, and then when I run that, and it runs. So this is a trick of a escape sequence. Okay, so let me come back. So if a string is defined with triple quotes, and then all the characters will be treated as is. Well, it sounds like if we are defining a string with triple quotes, and then we don't need to worry about escaping anything in the middle. Is that right? So let me try this. Okay, I use triple quotes here and triple quotes here. Okay, so this is the triple quotes and triple quotes, and then inside I have a backslash code. Is that okay? Let me run it. Okay, so this will still be treated as a backslash single quote will still be treated as a single quote here. Okay, but do we have to use that? Okay, let me take that out. So this is just a single quote in the middle, and I run that. That's the same thing. Okay, so for this case, since we create a string with triple quotes, we don't have to backslash anything in the middle. However, if you do, and then Python will still respect that. Let me say that again. Okay, well, if a string is defined with triple quotes, I mean this part, if a string is defined with triple quotes, and then all the characters will be handled as is, and this means, well, if you want to do a single quote here, that's okay. If you want to do a double quote here, well, that's weird. Double quote, single quote, double quote. Can I run that? And the answer is no problem at all. So you don't have to backslash the single quotes or double quotes in the middle if that string is defined with triple quotes. However, if you want to do a backslash double quote, backslash single quote, backslash double quote, and let me also do it backslash n. Okay? And then if I run this, what you will see is Python will still respect the escape sequences even they are used in a string with triple quotes. Okay, I hope I explained this clearly enough to you guys, because there are exercises for this part. Okay, here is an exercise in class. So the first one, do you think this one is correct or there will be an error? So it is single quote, Apple says I backslash single quote am delicious. Is that correct? A string defined with single quote, and inside I backslash the middle single quote. Is that okay? The answer is yes. So this line should be fine. And how about this one? So this is even harder because I use double quote to quote the I'm delicious. So Apple says this double quote is not backslash. Is that safe? And then this single quote is backslash. And then double quote, not backslash, and then single quote to close this line. Is that safe? Think about that. The answer is this one is safe. The answer is, well, the reason is I start this string with single quote, I end this with single quote. So this is string defined with single quotes, so the single quotes in the middle should be escaped. However, for the double quotes in the middle, I don't need to worry about them, right? Because that is a string defined with single quotes. Okay, how about this one? So Apple says, and then there's a line break here. Apple says line break, and then am delicious, and then the double quotes, not backslash, single quotes, not backslash, and then double quotes, not backslash. Is that okay? The answer is this one is also okay, because first, for a string defined with triple quotes, and that's okay if we use line break in the middle, right? So we define a string with multiple lines, and that is okay because that's a string defined with triple quotes. And in the middle of a string defined with triple quotes, it's safe to use single quotes or double quotes, and they are okay. We don't have to backslash them. So for all those three versions, and then they are good. Okay, so the next topic, accessing the characters in a string. Well, if you just want to pinpoint to a specific character in a string, how do you do that? For example, this one is a string, and then if we want to target a specific letter, say I want to get this L, this T, for example, how do I do that? And the answer is, first, you need to use indexes. You need to tell Python which letter or which character are you referring to, you want to pinpoint. And another thing is you want to use square brackets, okay? Square brackets, and then use the square brackets, and then target a specific index. And by the way, what is an index? And the index is a sequence of the natural numbers start from 0 to whatever. Okay, so for this one, so the first character will be index 0, and then index 1, index 2, index 3, and then eventually we see there is index 13, and that is the largest. Okay, so if you want to have the, say, Python rocks, for example, Python rocks, and then we want to get the index 3. What is the letter with the index 3? Think about that. Remember, we count from 0, right? So index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. So index 3 will actually be H. And remember, we count from 0. And here's another example. So for the fruit, banana, and then if you want to have the size of the banana, and then you will get what? 6, right? So because there are a total of 6 characters. And after that, if you want to get the last character of banana, can you do last equals fruit with the size or the length as the index? You got an error. So why it is an error here? Okay, so as I said, the length of banana is 6, right? But let's count the indexes. That is index 1, index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4, index 5. That's a problem. Do you see that? For the banana, we have a total of 6 characters. But if you trace the indexes, that is from index 0 to index 5. However, what I'm doing here, I'm trying to get the index 6. But there's no index 6. So I got an error, right? So how do we get the last character? That should be the size or the length minus 1. So why do we minus a 1 here and yet we can get the last character correctly? The answer is simple, because we count from 0, not 1. So the size of the string minus 1 will give you the last character. And if you want to do a shorter way or a handy way, you can do just a minus 1. Okay? Negative indexes are also supported in Python, and the trick is when you are doing the 0 or positive indexes, we count from the beginning, the left side. So for this one, index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, right? But if you're doing the negative indexes, we count from the right side. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. So those are different ways of doing the indexes, and they are both supported in Python. And sometimes, if you want to grab the last character or the second last character, well, using the negative indexes can be super handy. And for this case, if you want to get the last character, that is the square bracket. Okay, don't forget the square bracket, and square bracket negative 1 for the last character, and square bracket 2 negative 2 for the second last character, right? So here's another exercise. So we have a string UNC space Wilmington, and if you want to get the index 5, what is the character? So go ahead, count by yourself. Okay, so that is index 0, index 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 is a space, but that is one character. 4, 5, right? So index 5 should be I. Okay, and then I want to do a my char equals the school with the square bracket 5. So my char will be one character, I. And then if you want to get the last char, and that is the school with the index minus 1, and what do we get? School, which is UNC Wilmington. If we want to get the negative 1 as the index, what is that? That is N, right? So that is N because that is the last character. Okay, so I want to stop from here, and next video we are going to talk about formatting strings.